It is a beautiful summer day here in the mountains of southern Appalachia. A little bit warm outside, but really beautiful. We've been having a stretch of days of no rain when we had all the rain we've had this spring. Every evening having really torrential downpours, so it's been really nice. The garden is really enjoying the drier weather too. I will first say that there's someone down the road in the holler here. They're having target practice today, so you may hear some gun. It's a big gun, whatever it is. They're just practice shooting, so don't be alarmed if you hear that. It's been going on for a while, so I'm sure they're sighting in a gun or playing or enjoying themselves or whatever they're doing, which is all well and good. Very common in our mountain holler to hear gunshots. So if you are an online person like I am, what comes with that territory is people wanting to know more about you, find out about you, write about you. Of course, if you are an online person like I am, and I talk about my family a lot, and I've been doing this since 2008. Actually, my whole family has. Matt, Corey, Katie, all of us, they all helped me with the blog by being willing to let me take their picture, or to help me if I was doing something that I wanted to demonstrate, whatever. So they've all been part of it. If you follow our blog, you'll know I always called Corey and Katie Chatter and Chitter on there, and that was because my niece April, she named them that because they talked a lot. They still talk a lot, but they talked a lot when they were little, and she said they were Chitter and Chatter, and it's funny. We love to tell this story on April. She was just real little. She's only a year younger than they are. But when she said that, someone said, well, then who are you? Because they were all three always together, when they were little. She said, well, I guess I'll just be Cheddar, which was really, really funny and really cute. Anyway, because of being online, like I was saying, there's lots of people that want to know information about you, and they maybe they garner information by things you say, maybe they read into it or something like that. And since we've been on YouTube since 2020, that has just increased. People want to know more. The YouTube is a much broader community, much more eyeballs, if you will, on us, on our family today than was definitely in 2008, way back then, but even in all the years that I've been doing the Blind Pig and the Acorn, our blog. So with that comes people, asking questions and just being curious. I'm curious about people in the same way. Maybe someone, that I followed their blog for a long time, or maybe I read their books. Maybe it's an author. Maybe it's somebody I've seen on TV. Maybe it's somebody in an old, a band that was popular when I was young, and I think, I wonder what happened to them. And then, of course, what do we all do today? We go and we Google and we say, what happened to Rick Springfield? Where's he at? That's who I liked when I was really young. One of my, I guess, what do you call it, movie star crushes or something like that. When I was really young in the, I guess, late 70s, early 80s, whenever that would have been. Anyway, that's what people today do. And, sometimes you can find, I've never done that for Rick Springfield, but maybe if I did, I'd find he lives wherever he lives now, and he's married, or he no longer plays music, or maybe he still does. There's so many of those older people that still go on tour and, play music and things like that. So I know why people do that. And then because people are interested in that, there's the flip side of it. There's people out there who compile that information and then put it back out because they know people's interested in it. And you think, well, why would they do that? What would be the benefit to them? Are they just being helpful and wanting to tell people about Rick Springfield or Tipper Presley or whoever? Well, they have, maybe they are. I don't think so, though. Mostly it's because they could make money off of it. And the way they would make money is if they did a blog post about Rick Springfield, about me, about whoever it is, then if they had a website with ads on it, then they know somebody out there is going to be searching for more information about the Presley family. Then people land on that blog, on that website, whatever it is, and read the information. There's ads all over it. So then they earn a little bit of money that's how ads work. People view your website, your video here on YouTube, and then that's how they make money from it. So that's likely their ulterior motive. Now, what has happened in the last several years, since AI has become so prevalent in everything that we do, is that it's very easy to just have AI do that for you and say, tell me more information, you know, about Tipper Presley, about Rick Springfield, about whoever it might be that you wanted to know, and make it into a blog post. And this is what I want to know. I want to know how much money they make. I want to know where they live. I want to know if they have children. I want to know, you know, what kind of lifestyle they lead, all those kind of things. And it just very quickly would populate that for you. Now, I don't think you should do that necessarily. If you were like a real person that really wanted to share information, the best way to do it would be to call that person, to message them, email them, whatever, and then ask them, you know, would you be willing to tell me how much money you make? Would you be willing to tell me about your life? You know, do an interview with them, and that way you get it, as we would say, straight from the horse's mouth. But that's not how they do it. They do, like I said, the AI version. So they're just taking bits and pieces from different places, mostly what's found online. And what happens with that is sometimes there's bits of truth in there. Likely, if they did one about Rick Springfield, would say he used to be on General Hospital and he was a very popular rock star, you know, something like that. But then there'd probably be some stuff that wasn't true. And of course, if we don't know that person, we have no way of knowing if it's true or if it's not true. Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, you can't believe everything that's on the internet. But there's some people that do believe everything that's on the internet, in the same way that even if you're like me and you can remember pre-internet days, we might say, you can't believe everything that's on TV. You can't believe everything that's in the newspaper. You can't believe everything that's in a magazine. You can't even believe everything you heard down at the local barber shop this morning, or maybe what the kids are saying in school, or whatever it is, you know. Most people understand that. Just because somebody says something, you don't know for sure if it's true or if it's not true. Until you did your information or did your research, or like I said, just go straight to the source and find out for sure, and then make your decision on what you think is true or is not true. So a couple of years ago, back in October of 2023, I started getting these comments about, some of them were really happy comments for me. I'm so happy, Tipper, that you've made so much money and that now Matt can come home. My husband Matt did get to leave his job and come home and work with me full-time here on Celebrating Appalachia. If you follow us, you know that. And the reason he did was because we were doing better. Also, a big part of that reason was because we were totally out of debt. We paid off everything that we owned, including our mortgage and all that. So it was because of those two things. But it really was true that we were doing much better, and we felt secure that if we didn't have his income, we could still make it. It'd be just fine. So that was true. We were very, very, very blessed. But those comments, some of them were led me to realize something strange is going on, because it was some of them were, you know, like I can't believe that you're just making all this up, and that type of thing. So I thought, I don't understand what's going on. I'm going to have to find out. Some of them began to tell me how much I was worth, and anyway, that led me back then down a whole rabbit hole of finding out that there's all these websites out there that do tell me, you know, doing stuff about Tipper Presley and her family, and telling their net worth and, you know, personal details and all those kind of things, really giving like an overview of our life. And so I did a video. If you've watched me for a long time, you probably remember. I said it was, once I started going down that rabbit hole, it was like really creepy AI stuff, because I have been on the internet for so long. There's all kinds of pictures of me out there. There's, you know, videos, of course, here on YouTube. So some of the stuff had been took from videos. Some of it had been took from stuff from my blog, pictures and things like that. And a lot of them were just the picture, just like what I look like right now, or maybe a photo that I'd shared on my blog a long time ago of what I look like. But a lot of them had been like doctored, so it looked like me, but it wasn't me. It had, I guess it looked like I'd been really dolled up to go to a glamour shot or something, and it just was not me. It was me, but they had filtered me to the point that it didn't look like me anymore. You changed my eyebrows, my nose, things like that. Anyway, so we did that video, and it was creepy. Like I said, it's creepy AI. But that all went away and kind of died down. But recently, I've been getting those same comments. Some of them, back then, some of them were nice. Like I said, kind of congratulating us on our wonderful success, which we were successful. We are successful, but not to the degree that they thought we were. And this time, I've been getting some more comments like that. This time, they've not been so nice. They're more of the, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're really very well off, and you pretend to be, you know, live in this mountain holler and all that kind of stuff. So this morning, once I started getting those comments again, I thought, okay, that crazy AI stuff must be going on, or somebody must be talking about us again. So Matt and I took another dive down into the rabbit hole this morning, and it didn't shock me as bad since I had done that before. The first time it really shocked me and saddened me because I didn't want people to read that stuff and then believe it and then think, you're not really being truthful. You're not who I thought you was, those kind of things. So it did kind of make me, I laughed a little bit the first time, but mostly it made me really sad. I guess I'm a little bit more jaded now that I know that it's out there. So this morning, Matt and I mostly laughed about the things that are just wrong, and didn't get that upset about it because we've realized now that's just par for the course. It's just part of the price you pay for being an online person, for making your living through YouTube, being a creator. That just comes with the territory, if you will. But I did want to clear up a few things just so that the people that are watching now, it's the wonderful thing about YouTube and wonderful thing about all of you. We have followers now. You might have just started watching yesterday, so you have no clue that I talked about this back in 2023. And the nature of YouTube is sometimes it will serve you an older video up, like in your suggested videos, but often it's just the newer stuff that it's showing, the newer stuff. So you may never have a chance to do that. And I totally understand, just because you follow somebody doesn't mean you're going to go way back to the beginning and watch every video. Now, some people do that, and I really appreciate you for doing that, and really am honored and humbled. But of course, I know everyone can't do that. So some of the things this morning that Matt and I found that we thought was really humorous was, for one thing, I was born in Canton, North Carolina. I wasn't. I was born in Copper Hill, Tennessee. Now, the Canton makes sense because that's where Matt was born. So that's just like they've just kind of got it confused there, probably where we talked about Matt being born. But I was actually born in Copper Hill, Tennessee. That's kind of trivial, isn't it? That doesn't really matter. Not something that I've probably mentioned only a handful of times in videos. Some of the others that were comical was that we learned we had 3 children. We thought we only had 2, that we had twin daughters. According to one of the pages that we read, we had 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. So I don't know what happened to one of our daughters, and then I don't know where the 2 sons are either. That was comical. There was a lot of course, talking about the money that we make and how do we make that money. Well, there was a lot of, almost every one of them would break it down into the blog, which I'll tell you right now, Blind Pig and the Acorn makes $0. It does cost us. It's a labor of love for me to spend all the time that I do on that blog, but I get no payment from it. It actually, like I said, not just the labor costs us, but you have to pay for hosting, you have to pay for like website support and those kind of things, pay for a syndication to send it out each day to people who are subscribed. So it is cost us, but it does not bring us any money. It has brought us over the years things that you could never put a price on, thinking about friendship and beautiful stories and priceless family things that folks have shared with us, all those kind of things, but no monetary. Another thing that we learned was that we have tons of sponsors. Most of our money comes from sponsorships. Well, depending on which page you read, on one of them, most of them come from sponsorships. If you've watched our videos, and certainly if you've read The Blind Pig, you know we don't have sponsors. And it's not that I think there's anything wrong with having sponsorships. I think that's wonderful, and it certainly helps people who do a creator job for full time, whether they're being a blogger or if they're being a YouTube creator. It certainly helps them pay their bills, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And it's the biggest reason we don't have sponsors is because I just can't even begin to figure out how to start with something like that. There's not enough hours in the day, in other words, for me. But it's not something that I think there's anything wrong with. It's just something we do not have. But some of those pages are saying that that's where most of our money comes from, is that we work with brands and sponsors and that they pay us to do content, which of course is just not true. That part's not true either. One of the other things, another page that said where all of our money come from, this one was really comical too, was that I've been a musician and a songwriter since 1980. In 1980, I was 10 years old. But since then, I've been, really working on that. And most of our money comes from the tours, the concerts that I give, and also the royalties from all the songs that I've written. Now, I come from a very musical family. There's no doubt about that. And Paul has wrote many, many songs. Paul's my brother, if you don't know. My father, Pap, Jerry Wilson, wrote many, many songs. Corey and Katie have wrote songs. My daughters. I'm going back to believe them, right? I only have one daughter. Corey and Katie are two people. Back to their, it's so funny thinking about 3 kids. Anyway, they have wrote many, many songs, each of them together. They separately together, they have. But I have never wrote a song, never, not one. And I certainly don't go on concerts, don't do performances and concerts, and don't sell my songwriting that I've never ever wrote, so all that's not true. Again, you can see how they kind of got it confused, because I come from a family of songwriters, certainly come from a family of musicians. And I do play the bass. I can play the bass. I say I'm the least talented of our little family band that we had over the years, because I say I play the bass according to Paul. Paul tells me what to do, and I do it. And that's my talent. I don't have no real talent, in other words. I'm not like Corey or Katie or Paul or Pap was, that's really gifted with the music and can just hear something and play it, and write songs and do all that. So that was another funny part, but you can kind of see how it got mixed up in there. Another really comical part on one of them was, we do get a lot of questions now, and if you've just started watching us, you might even have this question. We still, even though we kind of explained as it went along, and certainly Katie and Corey on their channel, the Presley girls, my daughters, they do have a channel, they explained on their channel, but we get lots of questions about Katie's husband, if Katie is married. Katie's not married. She has a little boy, but she's not married, and you can go to their channel and find out more information about that. But people who just started watching us, of course, they don't know that, so they're just curious, and so I can see why that was a question that was answered on a lot of them. The really comical part of it was that some of them said that she was married, but she was divorced. So that's funny enough, because she's never been married. But then the funniest part was that several of them said that she was married, but she sadly got divorced from her husband in 1972. Well, I was only 2 years old in 1972. So, of course, Katie was not only not born, not even thought of. It's just crazy how did they get that mixed up with it. Some of them said that me and Katie were sisters. I don't know. Maybe that's where Corey went. Maybe she's out of it. But then again, I had that. See, you can't go down those rabbit holes. But it's funny to think about. Like, well, they contradict each other in so many different ways. Anyway, that was another funny one. And then the big one that I'm sure makes people land on those pages is the how much money do you make? How much net worth is Tipper Presley? And that was how I knew one of the recent comments that we'd got, how this had started back up, was because somebody said, like, and they wouldn't even being that mean, they just said, I'm just confused. If Tipper's worth $25 million, then do you just do all this for, like, to do the videos, so you do the garden and all that and live like you do just to show the video? It's like a TV show, in other words, what you're doing. Or do you really just like to do it? I'm just confused. Well, that's the other interesting part. Very independent on each page that you might go and look at. I'm worth anywhere from between, I think the lowest might have been $1 million, $1.5 million or something, all the way up to $25 million. And they're happy to break it down and tell you how I earned all that money, What is the truth of that? The truth of that is I'm nowhere near worth $25 million when you think about monetary, financial, economics, in that sphere of things. No way. Not even $1 million. Now, Matt and I are very blessed. We were, got out of debt, and we do live kind of a frugal life, and that helped us be able, for me to come home from work once I started earning money on YouTube, and then for Matt to to be able to come home. So yeah, we're very blessed. But do we make that kind of money? No, absolutely not. We don't. I don't know where they get that information. I don't know if they make it up just to make me sound more interesting. I don't even know why they're talking about me, other than the part, like I said, I know people's curious. And maybe they can look at Google queries, you can do that, and you can see how many people search for this or search for that. Maybe that's how they decide to do that. But no, absolutely not. I'm not worth $25 million. But I will say, in another way, I am worth $25 million. Not me personally, but the life that I live. Now, how do I say that? How can I say both is true? Like I said, financially, no. I could give you my accountant's name, and he would laugh when you called him and be like, 25 million, I ain't making enough then. He'd say, no way. That's not true. It's not true. But when I think about the worth of how happy I am and what a beautiful life I have, oh my goodness, I'm worth more than $25 million just because of the joyous life that I live. And if you would like to know why that is, the number one reason is because I have a great faith. I have a faith in, the Lord, in God, in Jesus Christ. I believe He's the Savior of my life. And that's priceless. There's a song we sing at church, and I was just going to talk about this like at the end of one of mine and Matt's popsicle videos, when we eat the popsicles, or maybe in one of the my weekly lives, and I might mention it again in that one. But Matt and I was working in the beans the other day, and I was, thinking about this and thinking, that is so crazy. And I was really thinking about one of the mean comments that said I should be ashamed. I made so much money, and here I am lying to people, about that. And that was, I guess, bugging me, and so I was dwelling on it and thinking about it as we were picking beans, and then I suddenly thought, I am rich. I really am rich. And the song that come to my mind is one that we sing often at church, is I'm a Child of the King. If you a Southern church, you probably heard that song a million times. But I started thinking about that. His royal blood does flow through my veins, not because nothing that I've done, all because of what He did for me, Jesus Christ. And, all I had to do was believe and accept Him. So that's the number one reason that I'm wealthy beyond measure, because of that, because I have eternal salvation, because I have the Lord to lead my life on a daily basis. Second would be my wonderful family, Matt, Katie, Corey, my extended family, my brothers, Paul and Steve and Kim and their family, Steve and Kim's descendants, their family, Granny. I had a beautiful, wonderful childhood with Granny and Pap, and Paul and Steve. Couldn't have asked for a better childhood. My extended family, my friends. I have wonderful, good friends. So many reasons to be thankful. Where I live, here in the mountains of Appalachia, really, can you look around me? Is this not stunning? And it's just in my backyard. You ought to see up the creek. You ought to see up the road in Fireses Creek. Go to Brasstown Bald. Go to the Smoky Mountain Park, whatever. And look where I live. I live in the most beautiful place. That's priceless. I live in a very nurturing community. I have a beautiful church family. I have, like I said, my family and friends, but even just the community, the county that I live in, Cherokee County, is beautiful, nurturing, good, kind-hearted people. I get to live in the mountains of Appalachia. Looking at their beauty never gets old. And the people, the people that live here, the rich, colorful characters, the salt of the earth people that do anything to help you. How wonderful, how amazing is that? And I get to share that with all of you. I have you. I have each of you in my life, which is really amazing too. I have you. I have each of you. And you make me so happy. What a blessing you are. Of course, as a believer, I believe God is using you to bless me. I hope He's using me to bless you. But because of you, me and Matt really are rich. No, we don't have $25 million in the bank. No, we don't even make $1 million, nowhere near that. But we get to do what we love every day of the world. I get to be here to help Granny. Y'all know the watch me all the time. She's not well. I get to be here to help with her. I get to be here with my grandchildren close by and get to spend time with them. I get to work in my garden. I don't have to get up every day and leave and go to work like I did for so many years. You have just blessed me immensely. The good Lord has blessed me immensely. So, I guess to sum this up at the end of this video is, am I worth $25 million? I'm worth more than that. My life is worth more than that. I've been so blessed. I don't deserve not 1 ounce of it, nothing. I don't deserve any of it. But I have been blessed beyond measure, and I'm so thankful and so grateful to the Lord, to my family, to all of you. I'm so grateful that I get to celebrate Appalachia every day.